नमस्कार दोस्तों, आपके और हमारे ऑनलाइन यूट्यूब चैनल नर्सिंग कैरियर क्लब में आप सबका स्वागत करती हूँ। हमें पूरी उम्मीद है कि आपने हमारे पिछले वीडियोस ज़रूर देखे होंगे। यदि नहीं देखे हैं तो डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिए गए लिंक पर क्लिक करके ज़रूर देखें। यदि आपको हमारा वीडियो पसंद आता है तो लाइक, सब्सक्राइब और शेयर करना ना भूलें। तो आज हम नर्सिंग रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। इसमें हमारे मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं: व्हाट इज़ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई वेरिएबल्स, व्हाट आर रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, व्हाट आर हाइपोथेसिस, व्हाट आर assumptions एंड व्हाट आर द डिलिमिटेशंस ऑफ अ रिसर्च। तो आइए हम डिस्कस करते हैं रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम के बारे में। रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम होती क्या है और ये क्या चीज़ है। तो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, इसकी डेफिनेशन है: अ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम इज ए ट्रबलिंग एरिया और टॉपिक दैट नीड्स एन इंक्वायरी टू गेट बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग और अल्टीमेट सोल्यूशन। तो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम भी एक साधारण प्रॉब्लम की तरह ही होती है और यह एक टॉपिक हो सकता है जिसको नीड होती है एक बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग की और उसका एक फाइनल सोल्यूशन निकालने की। A research problem is an interrogative sentence or statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. The answer to questions will provide what is having sought in the research. ये डेफिनेशन दी हुई है हमें करलिंगर ने। तो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम एक इंटेरोगेटिव या हम कह सकते हैं क्वेश्चन मार्क है जो हमसे पूछता है दो वेरिएबल्स के बीच में क्या रिलेशन एग्जिस्ट करता है। तो जो हमें अल्टीमेट आंसर मिलता है वो हमें बताता है कि हमने रिसर्च में क्या पूछा था। नेक्स्ट, हम आइडेंटिफाई कैसे कर सकते हैं कि हमारी रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम होगी क्या। हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, हमें कैसे पता चलेगा कि हम क्या प्रॉब्लम है और उसका सोल्यूशन क्या हो सकता है। तो रिसर्च को आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए, रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए फर्स्ट एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेप इज रिसर्च प्रोसेस। Generally, a broad area is selected and then a broad topic is delimited to a specific one sentence statement. Generally, हम लोग एक बड़ा एरिया सेलेक्ट करते हैं और उसमें से एक बड़ा टॉपिक सेलेक्ट कर लेते हैं। उस टॉपिक से हम फिर उसको डीलिमिट करके, लिमिटेड करके एक स्पेसिफिक सेंटेंस स्टेटमेंट बनाते हैं जो कि रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम कहलाती है। तो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम हम के सोर्सेज क्या क्या हैं। सोर्सेज ऑफ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, हमें कहाँ कहाँ से पता चल सकता है कि ये एक रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम है। हम कहाँ से आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं कि हमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है और हमें उसका क्या सोल्यूशन निकालना है। सो व्हाट आर द रिसोर्सेज ऑफ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम। फर्स्ट इज पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस। तो पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस इज what which a person has his own experiences. For example, from a nursing field, a person is having some experience regarding what has been done and what has not been done. एक specific area में कुछ problems हैं, वो उनका solution है या नहीं है। ठीक है। Next is practical experiences. For example, in nursing field, we have seen many procedures, many theories which we are practicing in our nursing, but there are many problems which still are ongoing. So we can have a thought that this is a problem and we have to find a solution. Next is previous literature. Previously हमने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा हुआ होता है न्यूज़पेपर से, मैगजीन से, हमारे बहुत सारी थीसिस से। तो उन सबको पढ़ के हमें एक आइडिया मिल जाता है कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है और उसका क्या अल्टीमेट हमें फाइंड आउट सोल्यूशन करना है। नेक्स्ट इज इंट्यूजन्स, हमारे पर्सनल इंट्यूजन्स, हमें लगता है कि इस चीज पे हम एक रिसर्च कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट इज एग्जिस्टिंग थ्योरीज, प्रीवियसली हमारी नर्सिंग में बहुत सारी थ्योरीज जो हम अप्लाइड करते हैं वो हैं, तो उन एग्जिस्टिंग थ्योरीज को हम चैलेंज कर सकते हैं एज अ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम, और उसका अल्टीमेट हम एक फाइनल कंसेप्ट अपनी तरफ से तैयार कर सकते हैं बहुत सारी रिसर्च करके। नेक्स्ट इज प्रीवियस रिसर्चेस। प्रीवियसली जो भी रिसर्चेस हुई है उनको देख के हम ये कह सकते हैं कि इस टॉपिक पे ये रिसर्च हो चुकी है, इस टॉपिक पे ये रिसर्च पेंडिंग है। तो फ्रॉम देयर वी कैन गेट ए आइडिया दैट what can be a research problem for us. Next is brainstorming. Brainstorming is a thing in this बहुत सारे नर्सिंग प्रोफेशनल्स आपस में मिलके बहुत सारी क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग करते हैं कि ये हमें प्रॉब्लम्स है, ये हमें प्रॉब्लम्स है। उस प्रॉब्लम का फाइनल सोल्यूशन निकालने के लिए हम एक रिसर्च कंडक्ट कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट इज कंसल्टेशन। सो कंसल्टेशन इज if we are not getting an idea, then we can go to our experts. Various nursing research experts are there. We can consult to them and we can ask from them then what can be a research problem in a nowadays. So they can tell you about a prescribed research problem. So these were the resources of research problem: our personal experiences, our practical experience, our previous literature review, our intuitions, our existing theories in nursing, previous researches which we have done in research in nursing, and the brainstorming and consultation. So we have done many slides. Then I can ask you a practical question, that is, what are the sources of research problem? So first option is researchers' own experiences. Next is practical issues that require solution. Third option is theory and past researches, and the last option is all of the above. So the answer is all of the above, because we have studied about the sources of research problem. They are the personal experiences, practical experiences, previous literature review, intuitions, brainstorming, and existing theories. Next is the criteria for selecting a good research problem. What is the criteria that we can identify or select a research problem that is needful? How we can say that this research is a good research problem? So there is a criteria which include significance. First point is significance to nursing. The research problem must be significant to nursing profession, or it will not serve any other purpose if it is not related to nursing. A research problem is significant for nursing profession when it is directed to develop or refine the body of professional knowledge. Next point is original. It is fundamentally considered that every research problem should be new and unique in itself. Therefore, it is the key responsibility of a researcher that an innovative knowledge is used for selecting a research problem, so that he can extend or he can give his contribution towards the growth of existing body of knowledge in the nursing profession. Next point is feasible in the context of time, cost, equipment and supplies, administrative support, availability of subject. Feasible means it should be possible in the terms of time and cost mostly. Means we should have proper timing, time limit, and there should be proper cost and money to expend in the research. For example, in MSc nursing program, the timing for conducting the research is 2 years. But for BSc nursing 4th year students, it is only 1 year. So cost we should have in our mind that what can be the cost of the research, and what are the resources from where we can get the financial support. Next is equipment and supply. What equipments are to be used and from where we can get that equipment in our research study, it should be mentioned previously. Next is administrative support. Many research projects require administrative support. The nurse researcher may find it very difficult to conduct research independently. Knowing that your superior support your research efforts can be a very powerful motivating force. So your guide, your co-guide, they should all be available during the time of research, and they should be happy for your research. Next is availability of subjects in the feasibility. For example, the subject, the samples or the population which we are selecting for our research, they should be available all the time when we needed them. So next criteria for the good research problem is current and interesting. The topic of the research should be current and according to the need of the profession. It should be it should be conducted on the current issues of the nursing profession. Next is interesting. It should be considered good if it is according to the interest of the researcher's field. For example, it should be from the nursing field only. A research problem must be as per the motivation of the researcher and should be fascinated to the researcher, so that research is conducted with full enthusiasm and not merely for its accomplishment. So this is all about the criteria for selecting a good research problem. There should be significance to nursing. The research problem should be original. It should be feasible according to time and cost, availability of resources, equipment, supplies, and subject. Next is current and interesting. It should be on the current topics and according to the interest of the researcher and nursing profession. Next slide is about formulation of research problem. So what are the steps which we are following to formulate a proper research problem? First step is selection of a research area. Selection of a research area. हमें ये पता होना चाहिए कि हमने रिसर्च कौन से एरिया में करनी है. हम आईसीयू में करने जा रहे हैं, हम लोग कम्युनिटी सेटिंग में करने जा रहे हैं, हम लोग हॉस्पिटल में करने जा रहे हैं, हॉस्पिटल के कौन से वाले पेशेंट्स पे करने वाले हैं. दिस ऑल शुड बी सेलेक्टेड. नेक्स्ट इज रिव्यूइंग लिटरेचर एंड थ्योरीज. which the area which we have selected, we should review the literature related to that area, the concerned theory about the areas. All the literature and theories which we are reviewing should be related to our area of interest. So we can identify what has been done in our interested area and what has not been done in our research area or in the interested area. Next is delimiting the research problem. Now we have selected the area, we have reviewed the literature. Now the time is to delimit the research problem. We have to delimit the research problem in context of subject, time, cost and the area. What population should be there, how many samples should be there, all this that we have to do in the delimiting the research problem. Next, evaluating the research problem. Now there is time to re-evaluate the research problem. Once the researcher is clear about the specific research problem, next the research problem must be carefully evaluated for its significance, researchability and feasibility. Feasibility of the research problem should be evaluated for time, cost, availability of subjects and resources, administrative and peer support, ethical consideration, and researchers' competence and research. So all should be evaluated before formulating the final statement of research problem. The next and the final step is formulating the final statement of the research problem. After establishing the significance, researchability and feasibility, the researcher finally formulates a final statement of the research problem. A statement of research problem could be in declarative or interrogative format. So there is a time to finally state our problem statement. It can be in declarative form or it can be a question mark or interrogative format. For example, declarative format, a descriptive study on prevalence of bed sores among unconscious patient admitted in ICU of PGI MER Chandigarh. So it is a declarative form of stating a research problem. Next is interrogative format. तो इसका एग्जाम्पल है, what is the influence of the level of hemoglobin on pin site infection among patients with external skeletal fixator admitted in orthopedic wards of AIIMS, New Delhi. So this is an interrogative sentence as it is stating what is the influence of level of hemoglobin on pin site infections among patients with external skeleton fixator admitted in orthopedic ward of AIIMS, New Delhi. Next slide is about identification of variable. So finally we have a research problem. We have stated all the we have formulated a final statement of research problem. Next thing in that is identification of variables. So variables, what are variables? Variables are qualities, properties or characteristics of a person, things or situation that change or vary. Variables are the qualities, properties, characteristics of a person, thing or situation that change or vary with time. They can change and they can also vary. So variables are classified based on their nature, actions and efforts on other variables. There are always two variables. One is changeable and next is dependent on that independent variable. So as I mentioned about dependent and independent variables, there are various types of variables which are independent variable, dependent variable, research variable, demographic variables and extraneous variable. So total 5 types of variables are there: independent, dependent, research variable, demographic variable and extraneous variables. So what are independent variables? It is a stimulus or activity that is manipulated or varied by the researcher to create the effect on the dependent variable. An independent variable is a stimulus or activity that is manipulated by the researcher to create an effect on the dependent variable. Next is a dependent variable. So what is dependent variable now? It is the outcome or response due to the effect of independent variable which researcher wants to predict or explain. Okay, it is the outcome or response due to the effect of independent variable which researcher wants to predict or explain. Next is research variables. The next type of variables are research variables. In descriptive, exploratory, comparative and qualitative research studies, variables are observed or measured in natural settings as they exist, without manipulation or imposing the effect of intervention or treatment. Here, no independent variable is manipulated and no cause and effect relationship is examined. These variables are considered as research variables. For example, in research variable, studies are done only in natural settings. For example, an exploratory study on factors contributing to sleep disturbance among patients admitted in selected intensive care units of AIIMS, New Delhi. In this study, only we are exploring, we are just seeing the factors which are disturbing the sleep of a patient admitted in ICU. Another example of this type of research variable is, for example, we are doing a study on a descriptive study to assess the knowledge of students, nursing students, about the coronavirus. So we are not changing anything, we are not applying any intervention in that, we are just seeing the knowledge of the students about the coronavirus. Next is the demographic variables. The characteristics and attributes of the study subjects are considered as demographic variables. These are age, gender, educational status, religion, income, etc. We can also add marital status, occupation, living standard, living habitat of the person. So demographic variable, as it is signifying characteristics and attributes of study subjects, are considered as demographic variable. So age of a person, gender of the person, educational status of the sample, religion, income of the sample, they are included in the demographic variables. Next are the extraneous variables. Extraneous variables are the factors that are not the part of the study but may affect the measurement of the study variables. So extraneous variables are various factors which are not the part of a study, but they can affect the measurement of study variables, or they can affect the result of the study. For example, a study is conducted to assess the effect of two different pin site care protocols on prevention of pin site infection among patients with external skeletal fixator. In this study, pin site care protocols are independent variables and pin site infection is dependent variable. However, the dependent variable, that is pin site infection, may also be influenced by some of other factors such as low hemoglobin level or higher blood sugar level among these patients. These factors are considered as extraneous variables. So low hemoglobin level and high blood sugar level is the extraneous variable in this example, which may be unwanted effects on dependent variable of research variable. In this instance, these extraneous variables may be controlled by excluding the patient with anemia and diabetes. So in this example, we can exclude the patients of which are having anemia and diabetes. We are only taking the patient which are almost well, but they are having pin site infection. So there is a exclusion and inclusion criteria in this study. So this is all about the variables. We have discussed about the variables: dependent, independent, independent, dependent, research variables, demographic variables and extraneous variables. I want to give you an example of independent and dependent variables. As independent and dependent variables, for example, a quasi-experimental study on effect of 4-hourly chlorhexidine mouthwash on prevention of ventilator-associated pneumonia among patients admitted in selected ICUs of DMCH, Ludhiana, Punjab. So, a quasi-experimental study to see the effect of 4-hourly chlorhexidine mouthwash on prevention of ventilator-associated pneumonia. In this, independent variable is the 4-hourly chlorhexidine mouthwash, and the dependent variable is the ventilator-associated pneumonia. So, we can manipulate the independent variable, but we can't manipulate the dependent variable. It is fixed. So this is all about the variables. Now next slide is about the writing research objectives. So we have finally decided our problem statement, we have got our variables. Next is the research objectives. Now we have to set the objective. So what are research objective? These are is a clear, concise, declarative statement which provide direction to investigate the variables. So it is a clear, concise, declarative statement which provide direction to investigate the variables. Research objectives are the results sought by the researcher at the end of the research process, that is what the researcher will be able to achieve at the end of the research study. So as per the name objective, objective means what we are going to do, in what direction and in which area. So same wise research objectives are what researcher will be able to achieve at the end of the research study, what is in his mind, उसके माइंड में क्या चल रहा है कि उसने एंड में क्या अचीव करना है. दैट इज ऑल अबाउट रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. So in next slide there is a practice question. The question is, a variable that changes due to the action of another variable is known as, first option is independent variable, the next option is extraneous variable, the third option is dependent variable, and the fourth option is demographic variable. So the right answer is dependent variable. As we have studied in the previous slides, I have told you about dependent and independent variables. So dependent variables is the outcome or response due to the effect of the independent variable. You can see the slide number 15. So coming back to the research objectives, next are the characteristics of research objectives. First characteristic is specific and measurable. So the research objective which we have set for our research study, they should be specific and measurable. Next point is attainable and realistic. Attainable होने चाहिए और realistic means वास्तविक होने चाहिए, जिनको कि हम सचमुच में अचीव कर पाएं. नेक्स्ट इज लॉजिकल एंड ऑब्जर्वेबल. लॉजिकल होने चाहिए हमारी रिसर्च के अकॉर्डिंग एंड ऑब्जर्व भी हम उनको कर पाएं. नेक्स्ट इज फिजिबल एंड टाइम बाउंड. अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिसर्च स्टेटमेंट दे शुड बी फिजिबल टू एंड टाइम एक लिमिटेड टाइम के लिए होने चाहिए और पॉसिबल होनी चाहिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू अबाउट कि एमएससी नर्सिंग के लिए हमारे पास 2 years का टाइम है एंड बीएससी नर्सिंग के लिए हमारे पास 1 year का ही टाइम है टू कंडक्ट द रिसर्च स्टडी. सो आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव शुड ऑल्सो बी अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट. नेक्स्ट इज रेलेवेंट. दे शुड बी रेलेवेंट टू आवर रिसर्च स्टेटमेंट. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज अनइक्विवोकल. दे शुड बी क्लियर. दे शुड बी very clear. The research objective should be in a proper direction and they should be clear, or we can say they should be very proper. Next slide is about need of research objective. So why we need research objective in our research study? So the formulation of research objectives will help the researcher to focus on the research problem, as he can focus on what he has to be done. He can if they know what they have to achieve, ultimately they will concentrate on the way to achieve it. Next is avoid. The formulation of research objectives help the researcher to avoid the collection of data which are not strictly necessary for understanding and solving problem. So unnecessary things which we can avoid, that should be there in the research objectives. Next is organize. The formulation of objective organizes the study in clearly defined parts or phases. For example, if a researcher is conducting a research study on the effect of ginger on morning sickness among pregnant women, then in this there is two phases. First is to assess the prevalence of morning sickness among pregnant women, and the second phase is to identify the effect of ginger on morning sickness among pregnant women. So according to that, we can organize our research objectives. So that's why the research objectives are needed. Next are direction. Next point is direction. Properly formulated specific objectives will facilitate the development of research methodology and will help to orient the collection, analysis, interpretation and utilization of data. So there will be a direction, step by step. There will be collection, analysis, interpretation and utilization, and finally the results can be drawn. So this is all about the need of research objective. Due to the research objectives, we can focus, we can avoid, we can organize, and we can get a direction to conduct our research study. Next main points are types of research objectives. So the research objectives are of two types, mainly general objectives and specific objectives. General objectives are the broad goals to be achieved. The general objectives of the study states what the researcher expects to achieve by the study in general terms. General objectives are usually less in number. Next are the specific objectives. These are for short term and narrow in focus. General objectives can be broken into small logical connected parts to form specific objectives. These are so many, they are more in number as compared to the general objectives. Next slide is about methods of stating objectives. So the first point is how we have to write the objective, or how we can state the objective. This is about the objective should be presented briefly and concisely. It should be brief and concisely written. They are clearly phrased in operational terms, specifying exactly what researcher is going to do, where and for what purpose. Next, they use action verbs that are specific enough to be evaluated. For example, explain, examine, prepare, develop, compare, etc. So these were the methods by which we can state the objective. They should be briefly, concisely and phrasedly termed and explained. There should be also use of action verbs, for example, explain, examine, prepare, develop, compare, etc. Many more can be there. The more action verbs can also be used according to the objectives. So this is all about the methods of stating objective and all about the research objectives. We have discussed about what are the research objectives, what are their types, how we can write the objectives. The next main point is, the next slide is hypothesis. So hypothesis, the term or the meaning of hypothesis is in Hindi is अनुमान. किसी चीज का जब हम कोई prediction करते हैं, that is hypothesis. So hypothesis is a tentative prediction or explanation of the relationship between two or more variables. It implies that there is a systematic relationship between an independent and a dependent variable. When we predict or we can say, जब हम अनुमान लगाते हैं किसी चीज के बारे में या रिलेशनशिप जो एग्जिस्ट करता है दो और मोर वेरिएबल्स के बीच में, उसका हम एक अनुमान लगा लेते हैं, दैट इज हाइपोथेसिस. और हाइपोथेसिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम as it explains or it predicts relationship between two or more variables. So what is the importance of hypothesis in research? The hypothesis enables the researcher to objectively investigate new areas of discovery. It provides the insight to the researcher about what data to collect and what not to collect. Next importance is it provides link between theories and actual practical research. It serves as a framework for drawing conclusions of a research study. So, hypothesis enables the researcher to objectively investigate new areas of discovery. It provides the insight to the researcher about what data to be collected and what not to be collected. It provides link between theories and actual practice research. It serves as a framework for drawing conclusions of a research study. Overall, we can say that it is a prediction what actually हो सकता है और ये ऐसा नहीं भी हो सकता है. तो वही चीज हमने हाइपोथेसिस के थ्रू प्रूव करनी होती है कि ऐसा हो एक्चुअल में होता है या नहीं होता है. सो हाइपोथेसिस को प्रूव करने के लिए हमें स्टैटिस्टिकली डाटा कलेक्ट करके उसका फाइनल आंसर निकालना होता है. नेक्स्ट इज कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ गुड हाइपोथेसिस. तो क्या विशेषताएं होती हैं एक हाइपोथेसिस की जो कि हम मानते हैं कि अच्छा हाइपोथेसिस है. तो उसमें फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए, जो कंसेप्ट हमने लिया है वो क्लियर होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, निष्पक्षता होनी चाहिए उसमें पूरी तरह से, उसको इम्पार्शियल होना चाहिए एंड फेयर होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज स्पेसिफिसिटी, स्पेसिफिक होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज रेलेवेंट टू द रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम से रिलेटेड ही होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज कंसिस्टेंसी. कंसिस्टेंसी मीन्स इट शुड बी consistent with an existing body of theories, research findings and other hypotheses. It should correspond with existing knowledge. Next is simplicity. A hypothesis should be formulated in simple and understandable terms. It should require fewer conditions and assumptions. Next is verifiability. A good hypothesis can be actually verified in practical terms. So, a good hypothesis should be actually verified in practical terms. जो हमने अनुमान लगाया है वो एक्चुअल में प्रैक्टिकल टर्म्स में भी वेरीफाइड होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट इज इकोनॉमिकल. द एक्सपेंडिचर ऑफ मनी एंड द टाइम कैन बी कंट्रोल्ड इफ द हाइपोथेसिस अंडरलाइंग द रिसर्च अंडरटेकन इज गुड. Next are the sources of hypothesis. So from where we can get idea regarding the hypothesis. So first is theoretical or conceptual framework. In this, the most important source of hypothesis are theoretical frameworks developed for the study. Though a deductive approach, these hypotheses are drawn from theoretical or conceptual framework for testing them. For example, Roy's adaptation model is used in a research study where hypothesis can be drawn from a concept of theoretical mode that patient's adaptation to a chronic illness depends on availability of social support for him or her. Next point is previous research findings. Findings of previous studies may be used for framing the hypothesis for another studies. For example, in a small sample descriptive study, a researcher found that a number of patients admitted with coronary artery disease has increased body mass index. In another study, a researcher may use this finding to formulate a hypothesis as obese patients have increased risk for development of coronary artery disease. So previous research findings, they can give you an idea about what can be a next hypothesis. Next is real life experiences. So real life experiences also contribute in the formulation of hypothesis for research study. For example, Newton had a life-changing experience of the falling of apple and formulated a hypothesis that Earth attracts all the mass towards its center. Though several researches were conducted before gathering a law of central gravity. So these real life experiences can give you an idea about hypothesis. Next is academic literature. Academic literature is based on formal theories, empirical evidences, experiences, observations, and conceptualization of academicians. These literatures may serve as a good source for formulating hypotheses for the research studies. So various academic literature is there, various observations, experiences, various results, they are all written in academic literature and you can get an idea to form a hypothesis from there. Next are the types of hypothesis. So in this slide we will discuss about types of hypothesis. The first type is simple and complex hypothesis. So what is simple and what is complex hypothesis? So first is simple hypothesis. It is statement that reflects the relationship between two variables. In simple hypothesis there is only two variables and we state a relationship between only two variables. For example, the lower level of hemoglobin, the higher the risk of infection among postpartum women. So in this only level of hemoglobin and higher risk of infection are the two variables. Next hypothesis is complex hypothesis. So in complex hypothesis there is a statement that reflects the relationship between more than two variables. For example, satisfaction is higher among patients who are older and grow up in rural area than those who are younger and grown up in the urban area. So this is about simple and complex hypothesis. Simple में only two variables होते हैं and complex में more than two variables होते हैं. Next is associative and causal hypothesis. So associative is, as the name is suggesting, it reflects a relationship between variables that occur or exist in natural settings without manipulation. This hypothesis is used in correlational research studies. There is a relationship between variables that occurs or exist in a natural settings without manipulation. Only we see the association between two variables. Next is causal hypothesis. In causal hypothesis, it predicts the cause and effect relationship between two or more dependent and independent variables in experimental or interventional setting, where the independent variable is manipulated by the researcher to examine the effect on the dependent variable. So in causal hypothesis we see cause and effect, means हमने कुछ experiment किया, then we see the effect on the dependent variable, कि हमने जो experiment किया उसका effect dependent variable पे क्या हुआ. That is causal hypothesis. Next is directional and non-directional hypothesis. So directional hypothesis specifies not only the existence but also the expected direction of relationship between variables. Directional hypothesis state the nature of the relationship between two or more variables such as positive, negative or no relationship. For example, there is a positive relationship between years of nursing experience and job satisfaction among nurses. So it shows a positive relationship between years of experience and job satisfaction between nurses. So there is a direction, means positive है, negative है और कोई relation नहीं है. On the other hand, non-directional hypothesis is it reflects the relationship between two or more variables but does not specify the anticipated direction and nature of relationship such as positive or negative. It indicates the existence of relationship between the variable. It only indicates the relationship. It does not give the positive, negative or no relationship. It only specify the relationship. वो positive है, negative है और नहीं भी है, that is not specified in the non-directional hypothesis. For example, there is relationship between years of nursing experience and job satisfaction among nurses. So this was directional and non-directional. एक में डायरेक्शन दी होती है और दूसरे में कोई डायरेक्शन नहीं दी होती. Next is null and research hypothesis. These are the important one, null and research hypothesis. We only use null or research hypothesis in our research. These are the main points. So null hypothesis it is also known as statistical hypothesis and used for statistical testing and interpretation of statistical outcomes. It states the existence of no relationship between the dependent and independent variables. For example, there is no relationship between smoking and the incidence of coronary artery disease. Next is the research hypothesis. It is also known as alternative hypothesis. It states the existence of relationship between two or more variables. Null hypothesis में कोई relationship show नहीं करता है, but in research hypothesis there is relationship between two or more variables. For example, there is relationship between smoking and incidence of lung cancer. So these were null and research hypothesis. Hope you have got the idea about null hypothesis and research hypothesis. So these all was the types of hypothesis. First was the simple and complex hypothesis. Next was the associative and causal hypothesis. Third was the directional and non-directional hypothesis. And the last one is the null and research hypothesis. So in next slide, next is the practical question according to the previous slides. The question is, a statement of the expected relationship between two or more variables is known as, first part is concept definition, next is hypothesis, third option is problem statement, and the fourth option is research question. So expected relationship between two or more variable is known as hypothesis. So the reference slide number is 24. You can see the slide number 24. So coming back to the hypothesis, next is the formulating hypothesis. How we can formulate hypothesis और what points are there in the hypothesis. Hypothesis में mainly हम क्या क्या include करते हैं. So the following four main points are there to form a hypothesis must be considered while formulating research hypothesis. First is dependent and independent variable. So in research hypothesis there should be always dependent and independent variable. Next, nature of relationship between dependent and independent variable. This is the second point. Third point is subjects in population being studied. What are the subject? कौन आपका sample है? That you should know. Next is level of significance for accepting or rejecting the hypothesis. This is all the four main points which should be there in a hypothesis. When you are writing a hypothesis, there should be dependent and independent variable, there should be nature of relationship between the two, and there should be subjects in population being studied, and there should also be level of significance for accepting or rejecting the hypothesis. In this level of significance, I will tell you in the other more videos. The level of significance is a broad topic that we will discuss in the next videos. So this is all about the hypothesis. Next slide is about the assumptions. So as we have discussed about hypothesis, there is another point, that is assumption. Assumptions are statements that are taken for granted or are considered true even though they have not been scientifically tested. So assumptions are the statements or belief or ideas or the thoughts which we hold to be true. They are considered as true. So you might be confused about hypothesis and assumption. Let me clear you about hypothesis and assumption. So hypothesis is a prediction. Okay. Next, assumption is not a prediction. It is a basic belief or idea that is considered as true. In hypothesis, the prediction is needed to be proven by the statistically terms. Hypothesis को हमें प्रूव करना पड़ता है कि ऐसा हमारा अनुमान है, तो ये लीजिए हमारे रिजल्ट्स और ये हमने प्रूव किया. बट assumption not required that. assumption को क्लियर करने के लिए हमें ये सब करने की जरूरत नहीं है, because it is considered almost true. Next is let's discuss about uses of assumptions in research. So as hypotheses are necessary, assumptions are also necessary in the research. Research is built upon assumption as a foundation is needed to move forward. One must assume something to discover something. Assumption listed in research paper may be good source of research topics. Assumptions provide basis to conduct research study. Next is tested assumptions through research study expand the professional body of knowledge. So these were the uses of assumption in the research study. Next are the types of assumptions. So assumptions are of 5 types. First is universal. Second is based on theories. The third one is unwarranted, and the fourth one is warranted, and the next is assumption needed to conduct research studies. The first one is universal assumption. It is beliefs that are assumed to be true by a large part of society, but testing such assumption is not always possible. For example, there is a supernatural power that governs this universe. So it is a universal assumption. Next is assumption based on theories. Assumption may need to be drawn from theories. If a research study is based on a theory, the assumption of the particular theory may become assumption of that particular research study. For example, a study based on Roy's adaptation model will use assumption of this particular theoretical model. Next is unwarranted assumptions. These are stated without any supportive evidence. For example, Almighty God everywhere in this universe exists. So unwarranted assumptions, they are not having any evidence, but they are supposed or they are assumed as true. For example, Almighty God exists everywhere in this universe. Next is warranted assumption. These are stated along with evidence to support. For example, regular prayers bring success because they boost morale. So warranted assumptions are considered as true because they have somehow evidence. For example, regular prayers brings success because they boost morale. Next is assumption needed to conduct research. Some of common sense assumption may be developed to conduct a particular study. For example, prevalence of coronary artery disease is more common among urban people as compared to rural people. So in this example, there is a need to prove this, that urban people are more likely to have coronary artery disease as compared to rural people. So this is all about the assumptions. Now let's discuss about the delimitations of a research. So in research study we also have some delimitations. So delimitation means scope of a study or a boundaries of the studies. Means what we have considered, what we have not considered. We have set a boundary to limit our research. So delimitations are features in a study that can be controlled so as to determine the parameters or scope of the study. Or delimitations are the boundaries that are set by the researcher in order to control the range of the study. For example, हमने किस एरिया में करनी है, कितने टाइम पे करनी है, कौन से पीपल को स्टडी करना है, that all is limited by the researcher before conducting the final research. The researcher make conscious exclusion and inclusion decision regarding the geographical location of the study, study setting, sample size, the variables, the tool and the generalizability, etc. So the researcher set a exclusion and inclusion criteria about the geographical location of the study, study setting, sample size, the variables, the tool and the generalizability or the results of the research. कि हमने क्या results found out करने हैं, that all is set by the researcher. Delimitations are the choices made by the researcher that should be mentioned in the research study. Delimitations are also can be said as choices made by the researcher. It is under the control of researcher that what he wants and what he does not. Next are the uses of delimitations. Clearly define the scope of the study. So why we use delimitation in our research study? So there are benefits of this as clearly define the scope of study. What is the scope? What is the area of our study? That is clearly defined in the delimitations. Next, make the study more feasible and practicable. हम उसको टाइम, कॉस्ट और प्रैक्टिकली देखें तो delimitations हमें ये चांस देती है पूरा करने का. Next is define the boundaries of the selected study parameters such as geographical area, location, age, gender, sample size, etc. Next is identify the weakness of the study so that the strengthening of evidences generated through study may be determined. Next are the points to remember while writing delimitations. So first point is describe each delimitation in detail but concise term. हमने हर delimitation को describe करना है but in a concise form. Next, explain reasons for not considering certain parameters in the study. हमने reasons देने हैं कि why we have not considered somehow, कि इस एज ग्रुप के लोगों को हमने क्यों नहीं लिया, ये वाले एरिया के लोगों को हमने क्यों नहीं सिलेक्ट किया. सो ऑल दैट रीजन वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन इन द डिलिमिटेशंस. नेक्स्ट इज आइडेंटिफाई एंड मेंशन द इंटेंडेड इफेक्ट ऑफ ईच स्टिमुलेशन इन रिलेशन टू ओवरऑल फाइंडिंग्स एंड कंक्लूजन ऑफ द स्टडी. So we have to identify and mention the impact of each delimitation in relation to overall findings of the study. This is all about the research problem and the related terms. We have discussed about research problem, the criteria for a research problem, the various variables, the objectives, the hypothesis, the assumptions and the delimitation. All this is covered in this video. So I hope this video will help you. And आज हमने जो भी डिस्कस किया है, यदि आपको वो समझ में आने में परेशानी हो रही है तो आप हमें कमेंट बॉक्स पे जाकर लिख सकते हैं. आपकी परेशानी दूर करने के लिए हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो में आपको बताएंगे. थैंक यू.